Billions of people eat it every single day. It has started riots, crossed oceans, survived empires. It has been banned by governments, stolen by armies, and weaponized by racists. And still, it conquered the entire world. And the most dangerous secret about this dish? The people who actually created it were almost completely erased from history. This is fried chicken. And you have never heard the real story. Most people think fried chicken is an American story. They are wrong. To find where this really begins, you need to go back 4,000 years, to a civilization so ancient, most people couldn't even find it on a map today. Mesopotamia, the land between the rivers, modern-day Iraq, the birthplace of writing, mathematics, astronomy, and, as it turns out, fried chicken. Archaeologists digging through the ruins of this ancient world found clay tablets, some of the oldest written recipes ever discovered by human hands. And on those tablets, descriptions of poultry submerged in boiling fat, cooked until golden. 4,000 years ago. Think about that. Before the Roman Empire existed, before the pyramids of Giza were finished, someone, somewhere, in an ancient clay kitchen, figured out that dropping meat into hot fat created something almost magical. But here's what the history books leave out. This wasn't peasant food. This wasn't street food. This was a royal dish, prepared exclusively for the courts of ancient kings. The spices used to season it were rarer than gold. The fat used to fry it was a luxury that ordinary people never touched. For thousands of years, this cooking technique traveled silently, carried along trade routes by merchants who didn't fully understand what they were transporting. Through Persia, into North Africa, across the Mediterranean, through the kitchens of the ancient world. And then it arrived in Scotland. Wait, Scotland? Stay with me, because this is where things start getting very strange. Medieval Scottish cooks developed an unusual habit, frying their chicken in fat rather than roasting it. No spices, no seasoning, almost no flavor by modern standards, but a technique that was technically correct. Meanwhile, the Catholic Church across Europe had quietly banned frying during Lent and other religious periods, which meant that for centuries, the frying technique was suppressed across most of the continent. Scotland ignored the ban, and that quiet act of defiance set the stage for the most dramatic chapter in food history. The year is somewhere in the 1600s. Ships are crossing the Atlantic Ocean, but they are not carrying spices or gold. They are carrying human beings, West Africans, torn from cultures that had centuries of sophisticated culinary tradition, arrived in the American South. And among everything that was stolen from them, one thing survived the crossing. West African cooking had long embraced deep frying, in palm oil with complex spice profiles built from pepper, ginger, onion, and ingredients that European palates had never encountered. The technique wasn't simple. It was an art form, passed from generation to generation. The bare Scottish frying technique met the rich, bold West African seasoning tradition, and the result was something that had never existed anywhere on Earth before. A perfectly spiced, perfectly fried piece of chicken with a golden, seasoned crust that practically shattered when you bit into it. Fried chicken, real fried chicken, was born. In the years before the Civil War, chickens were one of the only animals that enslaved people were sometimes permitted to keep. Small, easy to hide, cheap to feed. Fried chicken was simply too extraordinary to be contained. It spread, it grew, it traveled, and it was about to meet the one man who would accidentally turn it into a global empire. Imagine showing a piece of modern fried chicken to someone from ancient Mesopotamia. They would recognize the technique instantly. The hot fat, the golden exterior, the crispy shell. But the flavor? They wouldn't know what hit them. Because what we eat today is so far beyond the original that it almost lives in a different dimension. The original ancient version, no seasoned coating, no marinade, just meat in fat, was functional, sustaining, a survival food for royal courts. The West African transformation introduced the soul, deep marination, layered spices, the understanding that flavor needs time to develop before the heat ever touches it. The flour coating came later, a European baking instinct grafted onto an African seasoning tradition, creating that iconic crispy crust that the whole world now craves. Would anyone from history recognize Nashville hot chicken, a variety so aggressively spiced that restaurants make customers sign waivers before ordering the hottest levels? Fried chicken didn't just change what people eat, it changed what people believe. Colonel Harlan Sanders, the white-suited face of Kentucky Fried Chicken, did not start his empire young. He was 62 years old when he began franchising his recipe. He had failed at farming, failed at law, failed at multiple businesses. He drove across America in his car, cooking chicken for restaurant owners, sleeping in his back seat, pitching his recipe to strangers. Over 1,000 restaurants rejected him before someone finally said yes. He built a billion-dollar global empire at the age most people are planning retirement.
The KFC secret recipe, the legendary 11 herbs and spices, is stored in a physical vault in Louisville, Kentucky. The complete formula is known by fewer than 5 people in the entire world. The company deliberately splits its spice blend between 2 separate suppliers so that neither one ever possesses the full recipe.
The branding came later. The history came first. And now, we have arrived at the moment I've been building toward this entire time. The final truth. The one that reframes everything. Here is what almost no one ever says out loud. The story of fried chicken is not really a food story. It is a story about power. About who gets to be remembered and who gets erased. About how the most vulnerable people in history, people who had everything taken from them, somehow managed to give the world one of its greatest gifts.
If you love discovering the hidden secrets behind the food that shaped our world, the stolen stories, the forgotten names, the truths that history tried to bury, then subscribe right now. Because history tastes better when you know the truth. And the next story we're about to tell is even more unbelievable than this one. See you there.